Some of us have heard of this name and know that he was a great warrior. But why was he remembered as the greatest ruler of Seljuk history? The main reason was he fought for the unity of the Islamic world and Ummah. His name carries the meaning lion hero. But was he really a lion hero? What makes him so remarkable to be remembered till today? So who are we discussing today? Today we are bringing to you the story about an outstanding Islamic hero, the story of Sultan Alp Arslan. Alp Arslan was born from the last wife of the Khorasan Sultan Bey, and he became the second ruler of the Great Seljuk state on 27 April 1064. Sultan Alp Arslan defeated the Byzantine Army in Manzikert and opened the gates of Anatolia to the Turks in 1071. This important battle was known as the Battle of Manzikert. He stands out with his heroism, foresight, and superior war strategies. Besides his heroic characters, he was also a powerful and intelligent statesman. Alp Arslan began to campaign extensively for his father, Daud Shah Bey, commander of the Turkmen forces in Khorasan. So after his father's death in 1059 or 1060 thereabout, Alp Arslan succeeded after his father, so he took over as the leader. This man was a courageous man. At the same time, he was also generous in his treatment to his opponents. His military dominion was one of his key strengths. You know, he was one of those kind of leaders who provided enough food and supplies to his military army to maintain their needs physically and mentally. So with their welfare well taken care of, his armies were mostly loyal and willing to fight and die for his cause for the sake of Islam. The taxes he collected from the traders and merchants were rolled over for him to sufficiently fund his continuous wars. The domestic affairs during his time were being handled by his vizier, the famous Nizam ul-Mulk. Nizam ul-Mulk was the founder of the administrative organization. He helped to strengthen the Sultanate during the reigns of Alp Arslan and his son. What Alp Arslan did was he established military units governed by Seljuk princes so that he could provide enough support and resources for the soldiers and to accommodate the nomadic Turks at that time. Alp Arslan replaced his uncle and shaped the future of world history with his great success at the age of 42. He became the second Seljuk Sultan of Persia and Iraq and a member of the Turkish dynasty. This had revitalized the Muslim rule once again. At that time, it was already the declining days of the Abbasid Caliphate. You know, it's very common that when a new sultan starts his ruling, the sultan will immediately face with internal opposition. It's no different for Sultan Alp Arslan. His father's cousin, Kutumish, revolted in Khorasan in 1064. And his own brother Kawurt, founder of the Kirman dynasty, rebelled twice in 1064 and 1067. So it is something very common that when a new sultan sits on the throne, they will face rebellions, especially from their own kin. Amidst facing the issues of internal rebellions, Sultan Alp Arslan still moves on to campaign against his neighbors. His first major move was a raid in 1064 into Georgia and Armenia, during which the Georgian king acknowledged Seljuk's dominance. The following year, the Sultan led his forces into Transoxiana. In 1070, he took Aleppo during a campaign into Syria. His holdings then reached from Central Asia to the Mediterranean. In 1071, Sultan Alp Arslan learned that the Byzantine Empire was on a campaign towards Anatolia. He had to leave the Egypt expedition and return. On 26 August, Sultan Alp Arslan met the Byzantine army at Manzikert. This was the Battle of Manzikert we mentioned about earlier. Basically, this was a defensive war in which the Seljuks were merely defending themselves against the Byzantines to protect the Islamic world. They didn't really intended to attack Byzantine army. Don't forget, Sultan Alp Arslan was in an expedition in Egypt at that time, but when he heard that Byzantium was on the way to his country, he wasted no time and returned from Aleppo and came to Ahlat. Byzantine Emperor Romanus Diogenes was taking Manzikert at this time. Sultan Alp Arslan set out to meet the Byzantine with his soldiers, which was stated to consist of only about 20,000 of them. Remember, part of his soldiers were in the expedition in Egypt, so he had to divide his army, considering the Byzantine army, which was estimated to be around 200,000 soldiers. It was unbelievable how Sultan Alp Arslan defeated an army with about 6 to 7 times the number of his soldiers. How did Sultan Alp Arslan encounter this massive number of army? Well, the plain answer to this was he had a superior great tactical war with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To simplify the story, this was how it happened. The arrival of Sultan Alp Arslan, who was in Aleppo to Ahlat in a short time, increased the self-confidence of the people of the region. The pioneer unit of Sultan Alp Arslan captured the Byzantine holy pilgrim together with their commander and sent them to the Caliph in Baghdad. Sending the holy pilgrimage to Baghdad was an important decision. In Baghdad, the Caliph made prayers for the Islamic army in the whole Islamic world that day. Sultan Alp Arslan made his final war preparations on a Friday. You should know that this is a usual practice for Islamic rulers since the Prophet ﷺ time. The leader of all days is Friday, and they believe in the blessings of winning a battle on a holy Friday. So he gave a touching sermon in the Friday prayer that motivated his soldiers. Sultan Alp Arslan summoned his army and delivered a speech by appearing in a white robe, similar to an Islamic funeral cloth or a shroud, in the morning of the battle. This was an encouraging message that he was ready to die as a shaheed in the battle. When his army saw this, each of them were convinced to follow his jihad, and they got dressed up in white robe as if they were preparing to get martyred in the battle. The war started in Ahlat and ended in Manzikert. The first attack in the war was made by the Seljuks, and before evening, the Byzantine army was hit hard. Before sunset, the Seljuks won a clear victory over the Byzantine army, killing most of them, and the rest fled. The commander Romanus Diogenes was taken captive. For the first time in history, a Byzantine emperor became the prisoner of a Muslim commander. The most important personality of Sultan Alp Arslan is that he can act very quickly and make quick decisions as a commander. He is the kind of commander who keeps war ethics at a high level. So when Emperor Romanus was taken captive, he asked the emperor, "Romanus, if you had taken me as a prisoner instead, what do you think you would have done to me?" The Emperor Romanus Diogenes replied, "Most probably I will kill you or exhibit you in the streets of Constantinople." Well, this is an act that is really expected from an enemy, right? What do you expect? So Sultan Alp Arslan replied, "So what do you think I should do to you now?" The emperor said, "There are 3 options. The first option is for you to kill me. The second is exhibiting me in your country, which I intended to take away from you. And the last one, I don't think it's something you would do to me anyway." Alp Arslan asked the emperor, "Okay, so what's that final option that you think I would not do?" Romanus said, "To forgive me. Then you may accept the ransom for letting me get back to my kingdom that is owned by you as a deputy in the Roman kingdom, the emperor said. He was just trying his luck to tell Alp Arslan the last option that he thought. Sultan Alp Arslan then he decided and said, "I chose the last option. I shall forgive you and set you free." Romanus was in a shock. He did not expect such generosity from his rival. Alp Arslan treated him peacefully and respectfully. They agreed on a ransom of 1.5 million gold dinars. He could collect only 300,000 dinars, which he sent to Alp Arslan with a humble request to accept it. Sultan Alp Arslan again showed his generosity by pardoning the rest of the amount. However, this does not mean Romanus have totally escaped. Sultan Alp Arslan was brilliant. By forgiving Romanus, he gets a peace treaty, the ransom, and at the same time, he displayed an act of mercy as per teachings of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. But he somehow foresees that even if he forgave Romanus, Romanus will still not be left unpunished. What happened was that when Emperor Romanus returned to his territory, his own courtiers deposed him. They were thinking, how come this commander can return safely while the rest of the army was already defeated? They were thinking that he betrayed the Byzantine army and fled from the battle. The ending of Emperor Romanus was very tragic. They cruelly blinded him on 29 June 1072 and exiled him away, where he died of his wounds. You see, the rival Sultan Alp Arslan was even more merciful than Byzantine's courtiers towards their own emperor. Sultan Alp Arslan's victory in the Battle of Manzikert was a crucial one, as this opened the doors of Anatolia to the Turks. After Manzikert, the dominion of Sultan Alp Arslan extended over much of Western Asia. In 1072, he soon prepared to march for the conquest of Turkmenistan, the origin of his ancestors. With a powerful army, he advanced to the banks of the Oxus. Unfortunately, Sultan Alp Arslan was stabbed by the captive commander of a recently conquered fortress. 4 days later, on 24th November 1072, Sultan Alp Arslan died and was buried at Merv. He designated his 18-year-old Malik Shah as his successor. His son Malik Shah learned from religious scholars and was also trained as a skillful fighter by the warriors. After Sultan Alp Arslan's death, Malik Shah reigned his country based on science, justice, peace, and welfare. In the upcoming video, we dive in more into the life story of Sultan Malik Shah, son of Sultan Alp Arslan. How did he move forward to establish a wealthy empire? If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can get notified when we post the next video. Like and share this video and also subscribe to Dandelia Story for more of such sharing. Thank you so much and see you soon in the next video. Assalamualaikum.